Before the incident, I lived what I thought was a pretty ordinary life. I had a career I enjoyed, friends who were like family, and a loving, though imperfect, relationship. I was someone who did her best to live with purpose and to walk in what I believed was a balanced way, focusing on self-care and self-expression. Yet, in the quiet corners of my mind, there were habits I never questioned, habits I justified in the name of self-gratification or stress relief. It wasn't until after my near-death experience that I came to see how deeply those habits affected me, not just physically, but spiritually. I had always known the importance of faith in my life, but, like many people, I let certain things slip. I wasn't as devoted as I knew I should have been. I'd often find myself swamped by the distractions of the world, clinging to things that seemed harmless at the time but were slowly eroding my inner peace. Masturbation, in particular, was something I never thought much about. After all, it's a private matter, right? But it became an act that I turned to more often than I should have. I justified it in various ways, telling myself it was harmless, a way to feel better when life felt too overwhelming. That day, though, changed everything. It happened suddenly. I was sitting at my desk, absorbed in my work. Everything seemed normal, nothing out of the ordinary. Then, without warning, a sharp pain shot through my chest. It was like nothing I'd ever felt before. A cold sweat covered my skin as I gasped for air, unable to catch my breath. My hands shook as I clutched the arm of the chair, and then, just like that, everything went black. I collapsed, feeling my body slumping forward, as though the very life force had left me in that instant. But that wasn't the end. It was just the beginning of something unimaginable. In an instant, I found myself somewhere else, no longer bound by the confines of my physical body. I was weightless, suspended in an expanse of nothingness. But it wasn't the emptiness of despair, no, this place felt different. It was peaceful, yet there was an undeniable pull that urged me to move forward. As I drifted, a distant light appeared in the distance. At first, it was a faint glow, but it rapidly grew brighter, until it enveloped me completely. The light wasn't blinding, it was warm, loving, like a safe embrace I had been longing for, though I couldn't quite explain why. I was drawn toward it, as if it were calling my soul home. Then, suddenly, I was in front of a being unlike anything I had ever seen, an angel. I could feel the purity radiating from them. Their presence was majestic, yet not in a way that frightened me. It was calming. Their eyes held wisdom, understanding, and a profound love. There was an energy in their gaze that felt like it pierced straight into my soul. I felt naked, not in a physical sense, but in a spiritual way, as if they could see every part of me, the good, the bad, the mistakes, and the regrets. Before I could even speak, they spoke to me, telepathically, as if their words bypassed my ears and went straight to my heart. You have lived your life unaware of the deep consequences your actions have on your spirit. You've ignored the things that are slowly dimming your light. And now, you must understand. I felt a tremor of fear ripple through me, but the angel's voice was so gentle, like a soft breeze brushing against me. Still, the weight of their words hit me with a force I hadn't expected. The act of masturbation, the angel continued, is not just a physical release. It connects your soul to something much darker than you can comprehend. Every time you indulge in it, you give away a piece of yourself, your purity. You feed into a cycle of self-gratification that weakens your spirit and distances you from the divine. I was stunned, unsure of how to react. It didn't make sense to me. But, it's just a normal part of being human. It's harmless. It's my body. It's no big deal. The angel's expression softened, but there was a deep sadness in their eyes. What you do in private matters more than you know. You have been taught to believe that your desires should be satisfied at any cost. But at what cost to your soul? This is not just about your physical body, it is about the sanctity of your spirit. It is about purity, which you have traded for fleeting satisfaction. I felt my heart race as emotions I hadn't even known were there began to stir inside of me. Guilt, shame, confusion, all rising to the surface. I wanted to argue, to deny, but I couldn't. I couldn't deny the truth that this being was speaking directly into the deepest corners of my soul. It was as if the angel knew things about me that I had never shared with anyone, not even myself. The shame I had buried for years came rushing back, and I felt like I was drowning in it. I pleaded with the angel, my voice trembling. I didn't know. I didn't know it mattered like this. Please, I don't want to be lost. I just didn't understand. The angel looked at me with compassion, but their words were firm. Now, you do understand. You have a choice. You can return to your life, but you must live differently. Purity is not about perfection, but about intention. When you are tempted, remember this moment, and choose to preserve your light. Suddenly, I felt a pulling sensation, like a force was lifting me from that heavenly realm, pulling me back toward my body. I fought it at first, wanting to stay in the peace of that place. But the angel's voice echoed in my mind. You have been given a message. Share it. Help others understand what you now know. And then, with a jolt, I was back. I gasped for air, my lungs filling with oxygen, my heart pounding in my chest as I regained consciousness. I was lying on the floor, surrounded by frantic voices. I could see the concerned faces of my coworkers, people who thought I was gone forever. It was overwhelming, the stark contrast between the peaceful realm I had just been in and the chaos of the world I had returned to. I couldn't stop shaking, and as I slowly sat up, I felt a new sense of clarity. The heaviness that had once lingered over me was gone. I understood now, in a way I never had before. Masturbation was not just an innocent release, it was a force that drained my spirit, separating me from the purity I was meant to uphold. I knew I had been sent back with a mission. My life had been spared for a reason, and I couldn't ignore it any longer. I had to live differently. And more importantly, I had to share this message with others, before it was too late for them, too. Now, I live with an awareness that was once absent from my life. I strive to live with intention, to safeguard my purity and my connection with the divine. I understand that small actions, even those done in the privacy of our own lives, have profound consequences for our spiritual well-being. I share my story not to judge but to warn, to encourage others to live with holiness, to preserve their inner light, and to never take their spiritual health for granted. We all have the power to change, to choose the path of purity over self-gratification, and to walk in the light that was always meant to guide us.